NXEDGE style Alphamon. Hey, how's it going? In today's video we have the NXEDGE style Alphamon special color version from Bandai. This figure costed me $51.99 from my local GameStop, and yes, I did say it's a figure, not a model kit. And like I said earlier, it's part of the NXEDGE style line, which are a line that create chibi styled, well painted and detailed figures. I've had my eye on the Digimon figures, but I could not find them at a reasonable price. Until now. Well, personally I think $52 is still very expensive, but it's the cheapest one I've been able to get. Well, on to the review. Of course, this is based off of Alphamon, one of the members of the Royal Knights, and at least from the outside of the box, it looks pretty good. And despite being a small little figure, it does look like it comes with a lot of extras, so let's open her up and see what we got. And like I said earlier, quite a bit of extras, and you'll be happy to know that the figure comes with a stand. But we'll take a look at all of those later. Once removed from all the packaging, the figure itself looks actually very good. The gold is very bright and vibrant, contrasting very well with the black. Zooming in, you can see that they did a pretty good job with the paint. There's a minimal amount of paint spillage, but that's expected because the figure is so small. Despite that, the paint job is still very good. As you can see by how thin the gold trims are, they still managed to paint that. And despite its small stature, there's still a very good amount of surface level detail molded onto the figure. As we pan down to the arms, you can see a little paint spillage, but like I said, I could overlook that. Also want to point out this kit does have some seam lines, mainly in the wings and the shoulder pauldrons. But like I said earlier, you would have to zoom in to actually notice them. Also want to mention they did a very good job with the cape. It's molded very well and has a lot of nice textures. Overall appearance for this figure is very positive. The very small issues it does have requires you to actually zoom in on it, but I'm not nitpicky enough for them to bother me. And since it's such a small cute little figure, let's see what it got in terms of articulation. Alrighty, beginning with the head, it can move side to side like so. Look up and down this far, and the ball joint at the base of the neck allows the head to extend and retract. We also got a full 360 rotation of the head. Now moving on to the shoulder pauldrons, it can move up and down quite a bit, and the shoulder flap can also move up and down. There's a small internal external shoulder rotation, and the whole arm could 360 rotate. Pretty good arm abduction. The upper bicep could 360 rotate. Very minimal elbow bend, less than 90 degrees, and the hand could 360 rotate. For torso movement, due to his short stature, there's not going to be a side to side bend, no ab crunch or back extension, but it can rotate 360. And coming along to the back, we have these, I'm not entirely sure, but they do become wings later on, and they could come off very easily, but they're able to go this far up, and rotate out this far. And as for the nice cape, it can move up and down, and side to side. Coming along to the bottom, the legs could do this much of a split, this much of a high kick, this much of a back kick, not that much. The leg could slightly rotate in the hip joint. We have this much of a knee bend, ankle pivot with a very small limited rotation. This much of a dorsiflexion and plantar flexion. Articulation is definitely not this figure's strong suit. I already expected its articulation to be quite limited just because of how short it is, so it's not surprising. But it makes up for that with all these accessories. First thing we got is a pair of interchangeable open hands. It has a red dot in the middle, kind of reminds me of the android's hands from Dragon Ball Z. There's actually a very good amount of detail molded onto it as well. Definitely kind of impressive. Next up for display purposes, included with the kit is a clear stand. The manual shows you how to assemble it, and it's not that difficult. The stand comes with two arms. The larger arm is called the figure post, which can pretty much lock in any position you need it to, and it's very easily adjustable. And to attach Alphamon, there's a hole underneath Alphamon's butt, then just connect the post right in there. In addition, the stand comes with a smaller articulate arm, used for holding up the effect parts. The clear green effect part that comes included has a little small hole for the stand to go right into. And with some playing around, you can pull off the iconic hand pose, and I think you could agree with me that the stand is definitely needed for this kit. I also forgot to mention that the base of the stand actually looks like a puzzle piece, allowing you to connect it to other stands. Next accessory we have is the Divine Sword Grade Alpha. It comes very well molded in this nice clear yellow plastic with a jewel in the middle, and it's a very little pretty piece. Also, it's pretty long, at least compared with the figure. And you'll be happy to know that equipping it is very easy, just slide it through his little hands. And just like the effect parts, it looks pretty good, and because it's so easy to pose, it's pretty fun to play around with. The last little extra we have is the Oryuken Sword. It follows the same paint scheme as the figure itself, and pretty much with the same paint quality, so it looks just as good. And to equip this weapon, it's pretty easy. Just take off the blade head, and then just slide the handle right through the hands. And you just pick a pose, and Alphamon pretty much just rocks with anything. I just can't get over the fact of how good it looks. It's hard for me to decide what pose to actually keep this figure in, since it just looks so good. And that's it for extras and accessories. as you can already see, there's quite a bit that comes with this figure, which is good to know because it costs quite a bit. And because it is a figure, I'm not going to shake it. Now if you're wondering how big it is, it's around 5.5 inches, or close to 14 centimeters. As for size comparison, it's around the same size as Entry Grade Arc-72, much smaller than the Master Grade Arc-72 of course. Here next to a figurized standard Magnamon, and here's Haro, DK, Doraemon, Funko QB, and a little mini figure of Boa. As for shelf presence, not really fair in this situation. It's a small boy, there's lots of kits, but it still looks good. Now what are my final thoughts for this figure? Personally, the only negative, and it's a strong negative, is that it's pretty expensive. Like $50 something after taxes is really expensive for something so small. But comparing it to other prices I saw, this is kind of a steal. Look, $50 for this kit, still very expensive, but man, considering the other ones, if it wasn't this low, I would never even have considered it. I would definitely understand if it's too pricey. Makes sense to me. But if you really do like it, it's a pretty good looking figure. Well sculpted, nicely painted. Articulation's a little lacking, but there's a lot of good amount of accessories to offset that. And it's pretty fun to pose and play around with. Would I recommend it? Well, if you like Alphamon, sure, go ahead. Still expensive though. And hopefully this video helps you with your decision. Thanks for watching my video. I hope you like it. I enjoy making it. Let me know what you think. I actually managed to get my hands on the Digimon and Omegamon, so they'll be coming in soon, also around the same price. So if you're curious, come back later in the future. Thanks again for watching. Take care. Bye.